Trading is closed on the 6th of December, 2022. Let's start with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, 7th of December, 2022. Please remember I can be wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early high. That was this. Tomorrow has the early low. Yesterday's call was a miss. We said unless we gap down smartly, we should see higher prices. Well, we traded briefly positive, and then within 15 minutes we're down smartly. It acted like a gap, but that's not a gap, so we have to call it a miss. We get to add a target to the list, 4007.49. Should print at some time. We also cross a target from last week off the list, 39.5273. Today's patterns generated some new targets, 39.6182 and ultimately 39.6955. Usually you don't get two straight line drops like this. There were a number of support areas and they didn't hold. The MEJT target in red was support, didn't hold. This green line is a former FOMC announcement price, and that didn't hold either. Now it's resistance. We got an ultimate buy signal in the morning. Ultimately, we should trade over this line. No time limit. Usually you don't have to wait long. This drop is called false, calls for return to this line. Normally when you're this close, you can just about guarantee you're going to return to this line, probably this one too. Instead, we just collapsed. We got an ultimate buy signal and a sell signal in the afternoon. The sell signal played out. The ultimate buy hit its minimum target here. We almost always get more than the minimum, which we did. So that's been satisfied. Well, we said unless we gapped under this trend line, it should retrace. Well, I didn't see how we could go under the line without gapping, but we did, and that's a valid break. Now it needs confirmation by going 1 cent under today's close. Assuming that happens, calls for us going at least 225 handles under this line. If this is a rising wedge, and it probably is, targets to retrace all of it, meaning we go to meaning we undercut the year's low. Again, if you don't trade under today's close by 1 cent, it doesn't count. Gap up tomorrow, it doesn't count. Ideally, you should hold this line on any rally, but often when you break a line like this in a straight line, with a big drop, one of my rules is almost always you are going to return to that line. We could even go as high as here, which is about 4,072, and it wouldn't really change anything. I'm not saying we will, but not even saying we'll go up tomorrow, even with the higher targets. But if we do go up, that line's a reasonable place for it to stop. And usually when you break a slanted trend line and a straight line drop, at some point, usually return to that line, even though we have much lower target once this move is confirmed. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early low, doesn't mean you won't gap up. There are higher MEJT targets. Unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for them to print. Please remember targets have an increased failure rate during strong impulsive moves, though they should print at some time. I'm not looking for long trades here. I'm looking for positions to be short. But just because it's a negative picture doesn't mean you drop every single day. Today's trendline break is a valid break. It still needs confirmation by trading under today's close. If that happens, there are much lower targets ahead. Doesn't mean we drop tomorrow. Turns out we're at or near a change in trend date based on other people's work. In fact, a number of other people using totally unrelated methodologies have a change in trend around here. We have a day-long drop, couldn't manage a close under midday lows, and that's bullish if it's maintained at tomorrow's open. We also have the NASDAQ McClellan oscillator closing under a slower Bollinger Band. It hasn't reversed back up through it, but if it does, it gives a buy signal. I believe we have a significant top here, but we could still rally as high as the trend line we showed without changing the bearish picture. So there is some hope for a recovery tomorrow, but once we trade under today's close, no matter how high we go, as long as that upsloping trend line holds, we have much, much, much lower targets coming up. And that's today's call.